Buy what I can afford? Okay. TLDR at the bottom. On phone, so excuse formatting. English isn't my first language, and I'm a terrible storyteller. Last month, I was shopping around for a washing machine. For context, I'm in Nairobi, Kenya. Yes, it's a place. Yes, it's in Africa. Yes, we have electricity and running water, and I'm a bit of a late bloomer, so I look more like a 23-year-old, but I'm 32. Also, I'm a photographer and I dress for comfort, so I more often than not look homeless. Back to the story. I looked up what I wanted online and saw it was available at one of the major chains, but since I was free, I decided to go to the store in person. I went straight to the section with laundry equipment and one of the salesmen came to me. I was busy checking out the model I wanted, opening the door, reading the spec sheet and whatnot, so after he greeted me, we started talking about it. He asked if I'm interested in buying it and I told him I'm considering it and asked for the price. It was just shy of $900, I knew from their website, but since I was in the store, I asked if they had in-store discounts or discounts for return customers and inquired about their payment plans. I had bought a cooker there a few months before, so I knew all these things existed, and while I could afford to buy the washer outright, it would have left me a little cash strapped and I wanted to spread the payment over 2 or 3 weeks. Also, I'm frugal, so I always look for discounts. At around this time, a well-dressed couple came into the same section, probably looking to buy something as well, and as soon as the salesman saw them, he walked to them and left me hanging. I called to him like, "Hey, I wasn't done." And he said, "I'm serving a client now. I'll come back to you in a bit. In the meantime, look around for something you can afford." I was furious, but I'm a bit of a coward, so I walked away and went to the customer service station and started making my inquiry all over again. The attendant offered to call a sales agent for me, same guy. Apparently, he's the go-to guy for washing machines, but I declined. I told her I already knew what I wanted and I just needed someone to help me with the paperwork and payment and I'll be on my way. She did just that. I paid the full amount out of spite, and as we were finishing up, the salesman came up to her claiming I was his client, which I denied, and the attendant listed herself as the sales agent. It turns out they earn a 10% commission from each sale and the guy just missed out on a decent bonus. Salesmen earn around $300 plus commissions monthly. As I left, I turned to him and said, "Turns out I could afford it," with the biggest grin I could muster. Felt good. Best part? The couple he ditched me for left without buying anything. TLDR, salesman treats me horribly, so I buy what I need, though another salesperson on the same store and he misses commissions. Edit, I didn't think this would get so much attention. Thanks for the upvotes and awards. Be kind to everyone, y'all. It costs nothing. Edit 2, the part about electricity and water is a joke. Ask any African. Also, I probably know that African. Edit 3, this post has taken off. I have tried to reply to as many comments as I could, but I simply can't keep up. Thanks again for the awards. It's well past my bedtime now, so see ya. Be good.
Now to the comments. My brother-in-law Tom, who's a financial advisor for very wealthy people, once struck up a conversation with a guy in a coffee shop. The guy was older and wearing very shabby clothes, shorts that had seen better days, t-shirt with a hole in it, that sort of thing. They had a nice chat, and the guy asked Tom what he does for a living. Upon hearing the answer, he mused, "Interesting. I've been considering switching advisors. Do you have a card you could give me?" Somewhat amused, Tom handed over his card, and the two men parted ways. A day or so later, he got a call from the guy, who, it turned out, was seriously rich.
I imagine most well-off people who earn their money don't feel the need to flaunt it. Like my dad's rich friend mostly dresses in a t-shirt, shorts, and sandals, but he has a Lambo in the garage for the summer.
I know what you mean, but I can't help but think buying a Lombo counts as flaunting, but for all I know, that could be his one dream toy and everything else is in moderation. I love stories like this. I remember in my early 20s, I was working in a jewelry store. Decent pay, plus commission. This gentleman comes in, very overweight, very smelly, very greasy looking, had boils, if I recall correctly, on his face. Hands were gnarly, some kind of medical problem maybe. No one there would even look at him. It wasn't my turn, but I got him by default. No sweat off of mine, it costs nothing to be kind. So, I smile, talk to him. He wants to see some of the guy rings we have. I show him, he tries a few on. Ends up buying one for 2.5k. Cash, out the door. Everyone was so pissed. He didn't want a bag or anything, he wore it out of the store. As an even better ending, I had the next 2 days off. The next day I worked, I was told he had come back in the day before. He wouldn't deal with anyone except for me. He came back in that day, greeted me by name, and told me he needed another ring. I asked him if there was a problem with the other one and he told me that his dad liked that other one so he gave it to him. He ended up buying one for around 3 grand. Kindness costs nothing. Even if he hadn't spent a dime, it still would have cost me nothing to be kind. But it sure as hell gained me a lot. Edit, wow, thank you so much for all the awards. I certainly wasn't expecting this to blow up. I haven't thought of that job in years. Be kind to all out there.
I mystery shop as a side hustle. Sometimes if I've come straight from my full-time job, I look a bit shit, no makeup, work fleece and safety boots, so often got treated differently when doing more high-end shops. Although in those situations I wasn't buying anything, when I did get shitty service it would get written about in my report. We diamonds like you however always got a glowing write-up. Just because someone doesn't look like they have cash doesn't mean they don't, and you never know if you're being mystery shopped.
Aw, thank you. I grew up with humble roots on a working farm. Well, until I was 6 we had cows, but had a garden for years lol. I was taught from a very young age to never judge by external factors like appearance. It has served me pretty well in most cases, although people who think I'm beneath them get confused when I treat them like I treat everyone else lol. The plus side is I don't get intimidated by people who are high up like heads of companies. We are all people. I used to do mystery shopping myself, and I always liked giving good reviews to the people who seemed to genuinely have a good personality or care, or conversely, the people you could tell were having a bad day that still smiled or tried. A friend is a business owner and is very wealthy, but he's also a bit rough looking. We went to our local Ford dealership because he decided he wanted a new truck, so we asked a salesman if he could let us look inside the F Platinum he had on the lot, and he clearly gave us the up and down and said no because the truck was worth over $100,000 and was insistent that he looks at base model F-150s. Finally found a salesman that took him seriously. He bought the truck with cash on the spot and a week later came back and bought 6 F-150s, work trucks, and an Explorer ST for his wife. He made sure he let the first salesman know how much of a commission he lost out on for judging him.
I think it was Rob Pitts tells a similar story on the VenWiki YouTube channel. The owner of a construction company came in and was pretty much ignored based on the way he was dressed. Rob, being the new sales guy, starts talking to him and takes him on a test drive, and they stop at one of the construction sites. Long story short, he ends up selling him a new truck fleet, and the dude's wife and son end up trading in their vehicles.
Yup, very similar. Big fan of the rabbit, except Buddy didn't have fancy boots on. But the sounds of all the messages I've received in the last hour, this isn't uncommon. Salesmen need to pull their heads out of their asses. Dad's done this with a car dealership. Prior 2 cars, both from the same dealer. With another switch coming around, scheduling resulted in Dad meeting Mom there, straight from work. He's a construction engineer but hates the paperwork, so he's in his overalls with chainsaw oil stains and wood chips all around. After a long wait they've already picked the car they wanted, and as they worked 30 minutes to flag down a dealer, when they finally succeeded, he didn't even ask what they'd like, just straight to "let me show you what you can afford," starting to walk in the used car section. Mom and Dad walk straight out and across the street to the next car dealer. Less than 30 minutes later they walk out to their new car and drive off, making sure they go back in the first building and let the manager know how the young idiot lost them a sale.
I've honestly never understood how people can just leap to those conclusions. If people are going into these stores, 9/10 times it means they have a vested interest in buying something there, either that trip or another. It's just much more common. People shop within their means. Would have taken just a few seconds to ask what price range your folks were looking for to get a nice Comey's Scion.
Not only that, but why would you be rude to someone who's potentially a source of your commissions?